Hello, Patricia here, welcoming you to the Poetry Pea. I hope you joined me last week for Poetry Pea's tribute to Deborah Piccologi. She was such a good friend to the podcast and gave me so much encouragement to continue with it. Last week, I brought you her very last reading for the podcast and a repeat of the workshop she gave us that you might well need to listen to or watch. It's on YouTube, and if you're a regular, you know what I'm going to say. Subscribe while you're over there if you haven't done so already. So why do you need to have a listen or a watch? Well, because the first submission period of 2025, yes I know, 2025, is nearly upon us, and it's scifiku. Just scifiku. Because one of the last things Debbie said to me was something along the lines that she wouldn't be her if she didn't write about Mars. So I'd like you to follow in Debbie's footsteps and write about all things sci-fi. To help you along the way, I've got some favourites from the episode previously inspired by Debbie, which were published in Journal 222. Some poems from Scifiku Masters, and, to end, a little bit more Debbie. But one very important thing to tell you before we head over to the poetry, because it's a bit last minute and I need you to help me spread the word, and do some writing, obviously. I have an open submission period, deadline 21st December 2024, and it's for split sequences. You can write them on your own or collaborate with your mates. Either way, there will be a print and a PDF version of Split Peas, the Poetry Pea Split Sequences Journal, out early in 2025. Don't miss the deadline for submissions, and like I said, tell all your friends. Righty-ho, notebooks at the ready, prepare to be inspired. Sky ladder, the devil's tongue licks the stars. Sky ladder, the devil's tongue licks the stars. Robert Kingston. Proxima B citizens report a UFO. Earth Ship 1. Proxima B citizens report a UFO. Earth Ship 1. Valentina Rinaldi Adams. On Jupiter, do wolves howl at all the moons? On Jupiter, do wolves howl at all the moons? Pam Joy. Multiverse. What do I do with so many lives? Multiverse. What do I do with so many lives? Minal Sarosh. At the end of the wormhole, a giant blackbird. At the end of the wormhole, a giant blackbird. Tony Williams. In vitro veritas, I dislike my clone. In vitro veritas, I dislike my clone. Keith Evitts. Asia dawn. In our window, a flutter of holographic birds. Asia dawn. In our window, a flutter of holographic birds. Nick Hoffman. And those poems were from Poetry Pea's Journal 222. Tom Brink was an early pioneer of scifiku. He has a website, and you can follow up the link in the show notes. In fact, there are a couple of links there. In 1995, he wrote a manifesto for scifiku. Let me give you a few highlights, and like I said, head over to the show notes and get the link so you can read the whole thing. He says that scifiku pack all the human insight, technology and vision of the future into a few poignant lines. And whilst they are a distinct form, they do draw their inspiration from haiku. But scifiku are about science fiction and may or may not contain elements of nature. What they do have are words that evoke a technology or science fiction setting. And he suggests words like space, genetics, robot, or laser. And we've heard a few more already, with more to come. Going further, he says, perhaps one of the most intriguing aspects of science fiction is how it provides deep insight into the human condition, even when the subject matter is computers or aliens. There's a little bit more, but like I said, the link's in the show notes and you can go and read it. Let's hear some of Tom Brink's work from his website, scifiku. Ramship prostitute, again spitting the copper taste from her mouth. Ramship prostitute, again spitting the copper taste from her mouth. Tom Brink. Jew behind the glass eye of the android soldier. Jew behind the glass eye of the android soldier. Tom Brink. Digging up an ancient city, finding the print of a tennis shoe. Digging up an ancient city, finding the print of a tennis shoe. Tom Brink. And the next two are a couple from John J. Dunphy, from an article I found on Medium. Again, you know where the link will be. Another checkmate. I glare across the board at my chuckling android. Another checkmate. I glare across the board at my chuckling android. John J. Dunphy. Child's burial. Weeping next to the parents, the android nanny. Child's burial. Weeping next to the parents, the android nanny. John J. Dunphy. And one more from John J. Dunphy, but this time from Prune Juice in March 2017. Ex-nuclear test site. A prairie dog peers from its hole with both heads. Ex-nuclear test site. A prairie dog peers from its hole with both heads. John J. Dunphy. Now the next few are from Ad Astra, the Universe, which you'll find on the Haiku Foundation site and was published in November 2021. Endless sea. An empty kayak drifts into the Milky Way. Endless sea. An empty kayak drifts into the Milky Way. Bruce H. Feingold. Each feather lands on a Galilean moon. Pillow fight Each feather lands on a Galilean moon. Pillow fight. Alan Summers. The universe expanding my isolation. The universe expanding my isolation. By Rich Schilling. And as I promised, I'd like to end with a soupçon of Deborah P. Kalogi. If only my window were a spaceship window, saucer magnolia. If only my window were a spaceship window, saucer magnolia. Deborah P. Kalogi from Poetry Pea Journal 2/22. CT scan, journey to Mars. CT scan, journey to Mars. By Deborah P. Kalogi, and that was from her book, Vital Signs, which she read from last time on the podcast. If you'd like to read a few more of Debbie's scifiku, there's a link to a free book, Tug of a Black Hole, in the show notes. Here's one of the poems from it. Ribbon of stars, the unknown threat beyond Pluto. Ribbon of stars, the unknown threat beyond Pluto. Deborah P. Kalogi from Tug of a Black Hole. She's also left behind some more advice and poetry in the form of scifiku in an article she wrote in Prune Juice. Link you know where. And here are a couple of her poems from that article. X-ray eyes, can he see my heart beating faster? X-ray eyes, can he see my heart beating faster? And chocolate milk in her left breast, android wet nurse. Chocolate milk in her left breast, android wet nurse. Deborah P. Kalogi, both from Prune Juice, issue 21, 2017. So I hope you have lots of ideas whirling around in your brain and will be filling your notebook with scifiku babies. Thank you for joining me. Please remember I'd like to keep this podcast free to all, but I do need a bit of help, and you can help me. You can donate via Buy Me a Coffee or PayPal, or you can take out a membership. Details on the website. I'll be back next week with more poetry. But until then, keep writing. And there are links in the show notes for you to follow up. And the submission schedule for next year is also on the website. Check it out. There are lots of opportunities for you to be published. Ciao!